Good morning everyone, it's Alexia here from healingforlife.co.uk. I thought it would be nice to do a live video on what I've talked about in the last few videos. And the first thing I talked about was what was in the bottle and how what is in the bottle can help us. So laughter was one of the things I talked about, and how laughter can help us to change by changing the way we think, and how if we don't take charge of the mind, it can run away in places that can make us feel very negative and very upset. I also talked about our health in general and how exercise and weight can be an issue for some people, and that even simple exercise can help you to feel good, and that if this is something that you would like some free help with, you could go to Pete Cohen, the weight loss guru, who is a great friend of mine who I also work with. In the next blog I talked about keep walking. Why keep walking? The body is made to keep moving. It's not good for it to be stationary. And walking through the rain is probably a bit like what you feel like right now with all that's going on in the world, with not knowing whether you've got a job or not, how you're going to survive, how you're going to pay your bills. So by going for a walk, even in the rain, you can change what you think about. What do I mean? Oh crikey, I don't really feel like going for a walk in this rain. Oh, come on, let's go anyway. I'm going to enjoy this walk. And when you come back, you can find you have really enjoyed it. Yes, it's also very good for your weight. It's also good because if you've any stiffness in your body, the worst thing you can do is be immobile. And we spend an awful lot of time in front of cameras of form today, watching films, and maybe we ought to be making our own film. And today's written video that I put out is about Marie Curie. How Marie Curie, when it started, was basically for people with things like cancer and basic terminal illnesses. But latterly it changed. This was in the last year I was with Marie Curie. You also will have read in my blog that I volunteered for Marie Curie. This was how I changed how I felt about my life. I had no money. I couldn't afford to donate money to anything. But I could give my time. But giving my time meant that I felt better because I wasn't sitting at home thinking about what I hadn't got and how I was going to pay my bills. It also meant that I helped the manager in the shop to do her job, because there's a lot goes on behind the scenes that people don't realise. And it was also helped the volunteers. What do I mean it helped the volunteers? Most people who volunteer for a charity yes, they do it because they want to give their time, but also very often you'll find they've got their own problems in their life, and that is their little bit of respite care, shall we say, for them. And yes, it is working care, but then you're moving, you're helping your weight, you're helping raise funds for the Marie Curie hospice for people who are in terminal care. You're also helping yourself, which is what I was actually doing for me, was helping me in a roundabout way. And one day I walked in and Pauline, the manager of the shop, said to me, how about becoming a deputy manager? And I said, yes, I can do that. And then I went back to the friend who'd taken me in from the fraud. And she said, you look sort of excited but bemused. I said, well, subject to obviously security checks and everything else and an interview, I've been offered a managerial job for Marie Curie. And she just looked at me and she said, well, you can do that. And I loved it. I did it for a year. It was hard work, and there is an awful lot that goes on that volunteers don't see. And one of the little stories that I used to find a bit strange was I always liked to leave the shop tidy when I was on as a volunteer, so that when the manager walked in the morning, she'd only got to deal with what she'd got to do before the shop opened, because you can't, if you're going to run it well, you can't turn up 5 minutes before the shop opens. You've got to be there, and you've got quite a lot to do paperwork wise after the volunteers have gone, particularly on my day, which was I mainly covered weekends and particularly a Sunday, which meant I had extra paperwork to do. But I couldn't do all of that. I could put most of it together, but I couldn't complete it until I'd actually got the place to myself, because there was quite a bit of thinking involved and it had to be correct. It was figures and many other things that had to be done. So I then realised that was why the manager wanted that time on their own. In fact, I always used to get to the shop sometimes at least 3/4 of an hour before we opened, because I liked to know I'd got everything organised as I wanted it, because you never knew once you opened the door what was going to happen after that. So that was the start of changing my life, but it didn't happen overnight. Change takes commitment, it takes time, and keep going. So are you prepared to keep going? I know I am. Bye for now.